Welcome to Frontline at 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. Happy Veterans Day. It's also day 42 of the shutdown, but that may change in the next 24 hours. But we begin with that breaking news from the Transportation Department. Secretary Sean Duffy relaying just how serious the shutdown is for air travel.
And I think we might find airlines that have to make decisions. Do they keep flying? If this doesn't open, you might have airlines that say, we're going to ground our planes. We're not going to fly anymore. That's how serious this is.
Wow, we'll have more on that in just a few minutes. Also, the United States Coast Guard is celebrating its best recruiting in more than 3 decades under President Trump. The Coast Guard saying it beat its target by 121%. And some more big trouble for Big Tish. New reports claiming that police have been dispatched dozens of times to New York Attorney General Letitia James's Virginia's homes. Multiple times. We're following this story closely. But first, you can call them fake news all you want, but the left-wing media, it'll never learn and remain hell-bent on keeping the truth from you, but not from us, because we're going to separate fact from fiction. I'm Lidia Curanaj, in for Carl Higbie, and Frontline starts right now. The media lies and democracy dies. How many times have we heard this phrase? And yet the lies continue to happen every single day. The establishment media does this by creating narratives or ignoring stories altogether. Like the Bedlam at Berkeley, the leftist media completely ignoring the riot caused by Antifa. But guess who's not ignoring it? Attorney General Pam Bondi, who today announced a full investigation into the violence, calling it an existential threat and demanding a full investigation by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. Now, the violence outside of UC Berkeley happening because there was a Turning Point USA event there yesterday. Clearly, anarchists hate nothing more than civil discussion. Think about it. Had these been violent conservatives, had they been wearing red Make America Great Again hats rather than leftists, right, wearing their stupid hats and gas masks, it would have been on every single channel on a loop all day and all night.
Dead, homie. You're dead, homie. You're dead, homie. You're dead, homie.
F your dead homie. Yeah, that's what they chanted about Turning Point's founder, Charlie Kirk. I mean, just when you thought they couldn't get more low, there you have it. Mocking the assassination of a great man, a young father of 2. This just happened 2 months ago. These people are sick, sick, sick. Antifa protesters. They scream fascists and other vulgarities. You heard the bleeping there. They are harassing everyone, including women and children. They don't care. Antifa members, they were terrorizing these Turning Point USA attendees for hours, all night. The media, of course, will never show you any of these scenes. And if they do, like they did during the BLM riots, the Summer of Love, they'll claim that they were mostly peaceful, of course. We've seen this happen when the media distorts a story or doesn't cover it all. After all, had the Hunter laptop story not been censored, Joe may not have become president, right? Now, the latest media misinformation campaign now plaguing the Trump administration. That's why they're calling them Nazi, and they're calling the ICE agents the Gestapo. ICE agents simply doing their job, arresting illegal aliens. The leftist media plays on the American people's sympathy simply for ratings. Like this one, right? This story that ICE agents are now targeting daycare centers around the country.
A teacher was arrested by ICE agents at the daycare center where she worked.
The community in Chicago is saying this is ICE agents gone too far. They are demanding the woman's release, and there is real worry now about where these ICE agents may go next.
I mean, that arrest right there in Chicago sparking outrage. You just heard it. There's been rallies as media outlets. They're reporting that ICE agents arrested that teacher right there. They dragged her out of daycare. She was just teaching the little kids, and the ICE agents came in. This is how the media reported this story, right? And the pictures are compelling, right? But it turns out this was just another leftist media hoax. The suspect is actually an illegal alien from Colombia. Diana Patricia Santillana Galeano. DHS says officers arrested her there at this school, at this daycare, after they tried to conduct a traffic stop in the car she was riding in with a guy. And then the car, rather than pulling over, it then sped into the shopping plaza where this daycare center is. And then she and the driver ran in and tried to barricade themselves inside, putting the kids in danger, of course. You know, cops arrested the couple in the vestibule of the daycare. Thank God she couldn't get in. But of course, you didn't hear those details of the story that I just told you, did you? Because it doesn't fit the media narrative that ICE agents are the Gestapo and Trump is the big bad boogeyman. This is why I believe it's the media's fault. Trump has now once again become the big bad orange boogeyman. The fake news demonizing Trump here in the United States as well as around the world. In the UK, the BBC caught red-handed, deceptively editing what Trump said to the crowd on J6. You'll see it on the left, what the BBC aired in this documentary about J6. And then on the right, what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Quite the difference. They splicing, right? That wasn't an accident. Come on. Of course it wasn't an accident, because BBC's boss and its head of news have since resigned and they've apologized, but too little too late. The damage is done. Trump now threatening to sue the BBC for $1 billion with a B dollars if it doesn't retract and apologize for the spliced video. Could he win the suit in court? Well, that remains to be seen. The leftist media has placed a target on Trump's back, a big bullseye, from the moment he came down that escalator in 2015. That same media attacked and covered up and carried water for the deep state like they did with the Russia collusion hoax, among other hoaxes, right? You'd think by now that the fake news would realize that the president, he's never going to back down.
I think it's a lot of the rhetoric. Look, they call me a Nazi all the time. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite. I'm somebody that's saving our country. But they call me Nazi. They have talking points, you know? They have just talking points. And the press is largely responsible for it. The fake news, what they've done, I think one of the greatest terms I've ever come up with is fake news. What they've done to our country is very bad. They have to change around. Now, nobody believes the fake news. Nobody believes them. I mean, they've gone, you talk about popularity, you talk about approval. Their approval numbers have gone from like in the 90s to in the teens now.
I mean, to his point, trust in the media is at an all-time low. Overall, Americans' trust hovers around just 28%, the lowest in 4 decades. But among Republicans, trust in the media is just 8%. 8%. I mean, can you blame them? Can you blame us? I mean, listen, I dreamed of becoming a journalist since I want to say even before me, 12 years old, I can remember specifically. We had only one TV in our Bronx apartment, and my dad watched it day and night. You know, my mom worked, at night. Watching the news, my father learned English, and he loved the fact that he was finally in a free country and not the communist socialist regime, the one that he fled along with my mom. He would even say to me, you know, the news here in the United States, it tells you the truth. It's not government propaganda like back home. I believed my father was right, and I think he is still right. I became a journalist for this very reason. You know, maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm a little too hopeful, but I believe we must continue the fight to right these wrongs. And the only way we can do it is by continuing to speak the truth. Joining me now is the president of the College Republicans at UC Berkeley, Miguel Muniz. Miguel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, I mean, we saw the chaos, the bedlam at Berkeley, just some of the vile, nasty things that they were saying about Charlie Kirk. The rioters were mocking his assassination, saying he deserved it. I mean, how chaotic was it? And the fact that you have CNN and MSNBC and other major leftist news organizations completely ignoring the story.
Yeah, you know, you think it's as bad as it looks on video, but it's much worse. Those are the things that people are willing to do on camera. You know, students were assaulted. I believe people have been arrested for what happened. And the total lack of coverage from the mainstream media is really, really concerning. And I think it tells you, you know, if we put up signs for Michael Knowles that say eradicate transgenderism, the chancellor comes out with a statement denouncing us the next day. But if conservative students on campus are being violently assaulted, there's nothing coming from the university. And I think that's incredibly telling of what they actually want to defend on our campus.
Wow, so nothing from the university apologizing. And I noticed the police there too, just kind of letting the chaos continue.
Yeah, no, it's really concerning, and I'm not sure exactly what we can do about it as a student body, but what I'm sure of is the students at Turning Point USA, the students in the College Republicans are going to stand strong, and they're going to keep fighting for what they believe in, because, you know, when it really comes down to it, our voice is all we've got, and we're going to keep doing our best to represent.
You know, local news outlets are calling the protests mostly peaceful, like they did with the BLM riots. Take a listen to this.
They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where two men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away.
A scuffle, lively. What do you think, Miguel?
You know, I was out there and the students were yelling at me. They're saying, "Go away, fascist!" And they shoved me around. They took a MAGA hat that I had. They shoved me. They tried instigating fights. And I think it's clear to anyone who's there, it is not mostly peaceful. Anybody who walked by, you know, the pictures don't do it justice. The pictures are what people were able to capture on camera. The videos are what people were able to capture. Imagine the things, you know, you pull out a camera, these people are actual terrorists. They're not going to let you record them. So these are the tame examples of what we saw happen this day. But it's routine, it's regular, and it's just commonplace at the university. You know, these examples get a lot of attention because they're caught on camera, they're huge, they're smoke bombs. But every single day, you know, I'm the chairman of the California College Republicans. I get reports of students all over the state getting battered on campus, getting assaulted, getting threatened. This is commonplace. You can't be a college Republican without getting assaulted. That's a direct contradiction. So it's really concerning, and the universities don't seem to want to do anything to stop down on it.
Miguel, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Your parents must be really proud of you. They did a fantastic job with you. I commend them for the incredible job they did, and keep up the good fight. You're doing a great job. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in someone who knows a lot about rioters and violence, Antifa, and of course the media looking the other way. Video journalist Nick Sortor. Nick, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you continuing to shine a light on this story. When you see the legacy media in places like San Francisco, you just showed this local media outlet trying to use that mostly peaceful line again. Apparently they didn't learn from 2020 when they that meme that's been going around for years now, that it's a real photo of a CNN journalist standing in front of a burning building, calling that mostly peaceful. I mean, would they also call the assassination of Charlie Kirk mostly peaceful? Was that a mostly peaceful event? There was only one person killed there. So I guess, you know, with thousands of people in the crowd, they weren't killed. So I guess that means mostly peaceful. Where is the line? How many people need to be killed for it to be actually broadcasted by the media as a violent event?
Yeah, and meanwhile, they go nuts if an illegal alien is being arrested, right? Illegal alien is using a child, grabbing him from the back seat of the car and trying to use that kid as a human shield and then faking a seizure. But they cover that extensively, right? Because it fits their narrative. Pam Bondi is investigating this. Attorney General Harmeet Dillon is also investigating what happened at UC Berkeley. She talked about this. She posted on Twitter, "I sued UC Berkeley in 2017 for a student group after the school refused to allow conservative speakers to speak on campus, citing security, and refused to protect them. They settled the lawsuit after it survived a motion to dismiss. I have questions." You just heard Nick, that student, that he says this is commonplace, that every single day he's being harassed, and yet the university does nothing about it. What do you think should be done?
I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. This has been talked about since the Trump 45 administration, and not enough is being done about it. We have to get serious with this stuff. I mean, I've been dealing with this for weeks out in Portland, right, where the police will arrest conservatives like myself just for, you know, existing, essentially. You know, even the district attorney was saying that I never should have been arrested out there. And the reason they do that is because they're either infiltrated by Antifa themselves or they're afraid of Antifa. Either way, the federal government needs to step in and do something about it. We've gotten to the point where we need National Guard in practically every blue city at this point. It shouldn't be that way, but these people have gotten away with it for far too long, and they feel immune. They feel like there's no reason for them to be afraid of the police or the local governments out there. So it's up to the federal government at this point to put its foot down, pull the funding, and trust me, you start pulling funding from these universities, they're going to shape up quickly.
Yeah, before I let you go, I want to bring this to light. Berkeley Chief of Police Yogandananda Pittman has quite the background. She previously served as the Assistant Chief of the U.S. Capitol Police, where she served for more than 2 decades. She also served as Interim Chief of USCP, that's the Capitol Police, for 6 months in the aftermath of the events of J6. You can't, this is so typical, the hypocrisy here, that she's doing nothing about people being harassed, women and children, smoke bombs, you name it, and people being attacked. But they'll always refer back to J6 insurrectionists and call people, MAGA people, violent. And look what they do almost every single day.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where this violence is so normal that it's hardly making the news anymore. That's how ridiculous this has gotten. I mean, you don't see anybody, like all these calls for assassinations constantly. We saw it last night out there in Berkeley, where you had these Antifa thugs that were going up and saying, oh, well, you're going to be next. You're going to be Charlie Kirk, to conservatives that are walking in there. Sheer terrorism. The White House has designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and it's time they be treated as one, right? Not treated with kid gloves anymore. That's what the American people want to see.
Nick Sortor, I agree. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And now a quick message from our own veteran, Carl Higbie, who is down in Mar-a-Lago right now being honored for his service as a Navy SEAL. Take a look at this.
Hey guys, so sorry I'm not with you tonight. I'm down here in Mar-a-Lago receiving an award on Veterans Day, a very special time for me. And I always say to everybody out there who thinks about thanking a veteran, just make sure you be someone worth dying. Thanks, we'll see you tomorrow.
Look how handsome he is in that suit and that tuxedo right there. All right, coming up, War Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing 6 are dead and 2 more strikes on alleged drug boats in international waters. But now a major ally is trying to punish us for it. We'll have those details coming up later in the show. But first, as Congress closes in on the vote to reopen the government, chaos continues at our airports. How long will it take to get things back to normal? Those details next.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.
When Betty and George switched to consumer cellular, it saved them a lot. So they started splurging on date night. No, don't you dare. It's an acquired taste. See how we can cut your bill. Call Consumer Cellular.
Think you need a new roof? Think again and save thousands. We'll help you put off the high cost of a roof replacement for at least 5 years.
Or 10.
Or sometimes even 15.
We're America's most trusted roofer because we always try to save your roof rather than replace it.
We'll restore your roof for a fraction of the cost of a new one. But don't wait. If your roof loses too much protective coating, it's too late. Call now or scan the code and we'll give you an assessment of your roof for free.
I start my day with Rise Mushroom Coffee. Makes me feel more focused and energized. It's coffee so good for you, there's not much room for improvement. Sorry.
What kind of gift can $39 get you these days? It could send someone overseas. Drop them in their ancestral village and give them a taste of their heritage. From mom's side and dad's side. It can open a whole new world of faraway places and fascinating people that make them who they are today. That's a big gift for a small price.
Well, the nightmares continue at airports across the country with thousands of flights both delayed and canceled. The FAA now saying the ripple effect could continue even after the government reopens, all thanks to Chuck Schumer, of course, and the Democrats. Newsmax senior correspondent John Huddy is in Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport with the very latest. John?
Yeah, Lydia, Fort Lauderdale International Airport, along with Miami, have definitely been impacted by the ongoing shutdown, but definitely not as bad as some of the major high-traffic airports. I actually flew in here last night from Central America. My flight was on time. Not the case, though, for folks at Chicago O'Hare Airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta, and New York's LaGuardia Airport. Once again, today seeing the bulk of delays and cancellations. And on that note, FlightAware, which tracks basically airport online tracking, reporting more than 2,800 delays throughout the day today. That number went up several hundred, and also more than 1,200 cancellations both into and out of the United States. And the reason for the increase throughout the day, the percentage of flights that the FAA was requiring to be cut was increased from 4% over the weekend on Saturday to 6% today, and that could go up to a full 10% by Friday. Now, American Airlines said that 250,000 of its customers have been impacted by the ongoing flight disruptions, with 1,400 cancellations directly attributed to air traffic control staffing, a major issue. As we know, air traffic controllers missed their second payment because of the ongoing shutdown. And Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said today that if the shutdown continues, air traffic controllers don't come back to work, and flights continue to be cut, this coming weekend could be even worse, if you can imagine that. Now, today I've been talking to travelers throughout the day. I went to talk to one group who's going back to Toronto, Canada, another who are leaving from Key West back to Philadelphia through Atlanta. Here's in part what they told me. I mean, Atlanta's tough, Philly's tough as well.
Right now it's looking good. 143 flight out, it's looking good.
Okay, no delay as of yet.
They're not rescheduling, nothing. It's awful.
What were you on?
What airline?
American.
Everything is expected on time, so we're fingers crossed.
No, we got canceled about an hour before leaving Key West last night. Don't fly.
Okay. You heard the guy at the end, don't fly. By the way, the group going back to Toronto, they were fine. They made their flight. The ones going back to Atlanta or Philly, their flight was delayed in Atlanta. One final note, Lydia, Transportation Secretary Duffy said that a big key to getting back to normal will be air traffic controllers getting back to work. We've seen that problem over the last few days. However, today he did say that more air traffic controllers are going back to work over the last few days leading into today. So that's some good news, at least to report tonight. Lydia?
John Huddy, thank you so much for that report. Yeah, maybe it has to do with President Trump saying he's going to give a $10,000 bonus, right? For those that stay on the job. Who knows? All right. Thanks, John. Joining me now to discuss U.S. Navy veteran and retired radar systems engineer Rick Castaldo. Rick, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. How are you tonight?
You know, I see the chaos that's going on at the airports, and I can't help but think, I mean, could this have been prevented? They just kind of went back, scaled back 10%, right? So it seems like the air traffic controllers and the pilots, they were already understaffed to begin with. We've heard the stories that it's about the reports about this being as a result of DEI. Were air traffic controllers and pilots and airline workers, were they already understaffed? And then any little kind of, something wrench thrown into the situation, and then you have complete bedlam? Is that what happened here?
Well, the history of hiring air traffic controllers has been pretty much a disaster for about 25 years. Certifying them to fly and control airplanes that fly in critical areas at the top 40 airports in the United States, JFK, Atlanta for sure, any big central hub in the United States. The FAA under the Obama administration changed the rules about hiring air traffic controllers. And you can't blame it on the NATCA union. You can, however, point to certain airports and areas like the New York TRACON, which was responsible. The poor hiring and management by the FAA of that facility is what forced the Newark transition of all the control to go to Philadelphia. And I think there was a number of controllers unhappy that they got told to move to Philadelphia or they were going to lose their jobs. That problem has been in existence since the late 1990s. And the Obama administration, under a number of folks in the Secretary's office and the administrator, specifically Michael Huerta, during the Obama administration, changed the rules on hiring controllers with DEI-based criteria, and they shut down some of the pipeline from some of the private colleges that were in place to hire and screen and train and prepare people to take those tests in Oklahoma City at the FAA's academy.
Rick, we have less than a minute. How scary is that to have DEI be implemented? It should be how good a person is at their job, or are they able to do it versus the color of their skin, or if they fit that LGBTQ times 10 quota. We're talking about people in the sky, you know, tens of hundreds of I mean, this is insane to me. And now we're seeing the after effects of all this DEI nonsense.
Well, it's got a lot to do with the hiring policies of the Democrat administrations and the promotion of people not based on a meritocracy, but based on their backgrounds and their ethnicity and their sexual orientation, which I think is absolute BS. We deserve better in America.
We certainly do. Rick, thank you so much. And thank you for your service. I understand you're a veteran too, obviously. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, there's going woke, and then there's acting insane. A woman literally kisses the feet of Jasmine Crockett's. We got the bar there covering it, but yeah, we're going to talk about why that is happening and more in our Culture Clash next.
Hi, I'm Charlotte McBride. I love working at Newsmax because every day we bring you honest reporting with real conversations, no spin. We're not telling you how to think, we're just giving you the facts and letting you decide what's best for you and your family.
You know, waking up in the hospital from all that stuff, there's got to be some kind of purpose for me here. I need to get over myself and start helping others. Total Towers came in and gave me and my family a home. I've regained quite a bit of independence from that amazing gift they've given me. I can't begin to thank Total Towers for everything they've done for our family. It means so much to us, a life-changing gift. Thank you. Please donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
If a parent or loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, we are here to help. With our MesoCare promise and decades of experience exclusively helping mesothelioma victims and their families, our firm will fight for the care and compensation you and your family deserve. We'll come to you and put a plan in place. Please call now.
Call now and we'll come to you for a free consultation. Call now at 800-664-2000 or go to mesobook.com.
Look what I just found. No ding decline on the Experian app. They show me credit cards that won't hurt my credit if I'm not approved. Turns out I care about my credit health too. Get the app from your big financial friend. Experian.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, Doctor.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Welcome back. I'm Lidia Curanaj, filling in for Carl Higbie. Gavin Newsom, or Governor Hare of California, hopped on a private jet to Brazil for the UN Climate Change Conference. And I wonder what the carbon footprint for that was. When he got to the conference, he didn't talk about the climate or the Palisades fire or any of that good stuff. Instead, he talked about his favorite subject, President Trump.
And I apologize for being so partisan here. But look, I literally came out here. I'm stunned. I'm just stunned. I got 4 kids. The hell's going on in my country? Not one person from the administration. Just to show any respect to any of you. Forget politics. Disrespect.
This coming from the guy with the highest homeless rate, drug rate, crime rate, you know it rate. Joining us now, Smythe. She's a writer for CSmytheHill.com. Also with us, President of American Principles Project, Terry Schilling. Kay, I see you nodding your head there. Governor Hare's got some nerve.
Governor Hare,
oh my
Governor
gosh.
T, like, he doesn't even understand. Am I crazy? Because I have a degree in this stuff, all of this climate nonsense. And we learned when I was in high school that going back all the way to the 90s, or I think it was like late 80s with the Kyoto Protocol, none of this stuff makes a difference. It's just a bunch of glorified hairdos getting paid to fly on their PJs to some foreign country where they're going to eat a lot of expensive food, shake hands with each other, get a little bit of screen time, and do absolutely nothing about the things that they talk about. It's just absolute garbage, guys. Like, it's embarrassing that they're still doing this. Like, genuinely embarrassing for everyone involved, particularly Gavin Newsom. I'm glad Trump's people on there. It's a waste of time and taxpayer money.
Terry?
Look, I think, we've been talking about this climate change hysteria for like half a century now. I think that, we're not going to see any changes. The world's still not going to fall apart in 100 years from now. And people like Gavin Newsom are still going to be pushing it because it's not about actually saving the world from this climate change fiasco. It's about money. The green energy, that's not about clean energy. It's about money. It's the color of dollars. It's all economic. It's all about money. That's why these people are pushing it.
I know. The only thing green they care about is money. On to now this story. This radio host, Stephanie Miller. I was cringing. It's hard to look. She physically gets down on her knees and kisses Jasmine Crockett's feet. Could you imagine if a conservative did something like that and then Jasmine's like smiling? Are they this deranged, Kay?
Well, clearly they're this deranged. This is actually kind of sad. Like, surely we're just watching some kind of mental illness play out in real time. I mean, who does this? Like, who does this in any situation? Like, unless Christ comes back, which, let's be honest, like, we really need him to. Like, unless he comes back, like, I don't think there's any human on this planet that is deserving of that kind of treatment. But no. Jasmine Crockett's, like, way at the bottom of that list. I mean, I'm still not convinced that girl can read. She definitely hasn't done anything to earn that kind of credit. And, well done to this radio show host. She's getting her 15 minutes.
Right.
Even if it is the most cringe 15 minutes I think any of us have ever seen.
Right. I'm convinced that Crockett gets high off the eyelash glue and the fumes are getting to her because she keeps, like, the things she keeps saying. It's crazy. Speaking of deranged women and they're high, or Kamala Harris, thinking she had it in the bag, was one step ahead of Trump during the 2024 election. Here she is, the failed candidate. Take a listen.
I was aware of my opponent's strategies, and I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. Got it.
Chess, not checkers.
Yeah,
three-dimensional chess, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, three-dimensional, yeah. I wish I was that happy. What do you think, Terry?
Well, look, Lydia, obviously she did get played, but the thing is, whenever I hear Kamala talking, I'm always looking around for lettuce. I need to put lettuce in my mouth whenever I hear her speaking because she's just nothing but a word salad. This is so disgusting. And by the way, she always sounds drunk.
I know.
Like, oh, we got play. We weren't going to get play. She sounds terrible. This is why she lost, but not just why she lost. She lost because she didn't have a compelling vision for America. She was running on vibes. And those vibes, as you can see from every single appearance that she has, is just preposterous and disgusting.
Real quick, Kay, we have to go. What do you think she's on? Because it's got to be something. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It's definitely not the same stuff that Charlie Sheen was on, because if we sort of go back, I might be dating myself right now, but he was winning. He was winning all of the time. So whatever Charlie Sheen was on, maybe Kamala needs to try a little bit of that. Maybe she'll win something in her life. I don't think she's ever won anything like so far, right? Certainly not the 3D chess that she was claiming to play.
Well, she did win the DEI award. Kay and Terry, thank you guys.
Thanks,
All
Lydia.
right, honoring our heroes on this Veterans Day. It's not just a day off from school and the banks are closed. We have to remember this is a day to honor our heroes. President Trump taking a trip to Arlington National Cemetery today alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and VA Secretary Doug Collins. More on today's events coming up.
Hey, it's Mark Lauder. My career's taken me from the State House to the White House, campaigns for mayor, all the way to President of the United States. I came to Newsmax to help our viewers get more than the headlines, beyond the spin. It's a perspective you'll only see on Newsmax.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side for free. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing. I can go on a vacation with this money. I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. We're going to compare plans, and I'm going to try to get you as much bang for your buck as possible.
That's great.
This one here covers all your prescriptions, your doctors as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a hard time with this.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Based on our conversation today, I would highly recommend this plan.
You're so helpful. You don't know.
I'm excited for you, sir. Again, my name is Cham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2026. Just call this number or get started at ehealth.com. Compare plans that cover your doctors, prescriptions, pharmacy, and budget. And compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies. They pay us to help you. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. What Sam did, she explained to me exactly what I needed to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir. What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor. They're paid the same no matter which Medicare Advantage plan you choose. Ask them about eHealth Live Advise or get started on your own at eHealth.com. Either way, it's always a free service. See if you could get more for less with eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable. I could see the costs side by side. eHealth is wonderful. $1,200 savings in my pocket. I was really pleasantly surprised with that.
Call 1-800-708-0234 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
Not again.
Your cold is coming! Your cold is coming!
Thanks, Revere.
We really need to keep Zycam in the house.
Only if you want to shorten your cold. When you feel a cold coming, shorten it with Zycam.
Hi, folks. I'd like to tell you about YRefi. Did you know that as an accredited investor, when you invest in YRefi, your interest rate is fixed? And did you know that you can invest from 1 to 5 years and you can spread your investment over those terms to best suit your needs? And you have the freedom to take your monthly interest income or reinvest it, whatever you choose. When you invest in YRefi, your interest is calculated daily, you're paid monthly, and should you need your money back early, there is a liquidity feature. Would you like more information? All you have to do is call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST, or log on to investyrrefi.com. That's investyrrefi.com for complete details. And make sure you review the private placement memorandum and scan this QR code to view the disclosure at your leisure. YRefi, investing in America's future.
Across oceans, jungles, mountains, and deserts, and battlefields and enemy camps across the globe, our veterans fought and bled to vanquish our enemies and preserve America's birthright of freedom. Because of you, America is safe. Because of you, America is strong. Because of you, America is free. And because of you, America will forever remain the bravest, mightiest, and greatest nation on the face of the earth.
That's President Trump with another strong and powerful message to our veterans as we honor their service today. A special thanks, of course, to the incomparable Carl Higbie, who's right now down at Mar-a-Lago. He is being honored for his service as a Navy SEAL. Incredible guy there. Thank you, Carl, for your service, not just from me, but from your team here and the viewers of this show. Get back here quickly. There he is. Look at that hair. All right. Joining us now to discuss Veterans Day, retired U.S. Army and Black Hawk helicopter pilot and commander, Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub. Also with us, Navy veteran and author of The Christ Cure, 10 Biblical Ways to Heal from Trauma, Tragedy, and PTSD, Dr. Tim Murphy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And happy Veterans Day to both of you. I know, Tim, you were involved with the Medical Service Corps Psychology Unit and now specialize in care for veterans and first responders. So tell us about that, how important it is to take care of our veterans, their psychological, any kind of ramifications that they have when they, especially when they come back home.
Well, being a service member in any branch is very demanding. You learn to work as a team, do your best. And sometimes you have to face some pretty traumatic situations. And then readjusting to civilian life afterwards can take a long time, too. So in my practice, what I do is I really specialize in working with veterans who experience some trauma and some other difficulties, but help them reconnect. But also consult with employers to say, you know, these veterans can be some of your best employees ever because they understand teamwork, they understand mission focus, they understand that you got to keep driving and you don't get caught up on silly little things about whatever's going to bug you that day. You got to be there on time, on focus, and working hard. And so it is getting people back into those lives and helping their families settle as well.
Incredible work you do there. Now, Colonel, President Trump, he spoke at Arlington National Cemetery this morning alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of Affairs Doug Collins. I want you to take a listen to what Trump had to say about the work his administration is doing to fight for our veterans.
In 9 months, the Trump administration has cut the backlog of VA benefit claims in half. We've added more than 1 million extra service hours across the VA centers, and we've opened 20 new facilities in 13 states, something that people said just not possible to do. We also have brought back VA choice and VA accountability, taken away by the Biden administration.
And Darin, Colonel, you also spoke at the event today. Your brother and your father have a combined 88 years of military service. Talk to me about this legacy in your family of service to our nation.
Yeah, and thank you. It goes beyond that, too. It's my grandfather was in the Philippines in World War II, and there are so many other aunts and uncles throughout our family that have served our nation for many, many decades, and we're proud to do so because we think our nation's worth defending. The principles that we stand for will continue to be worth defending, and we're happy to stand with others who've done the same. It's a very proud moment in our life, and we know that there are still a lot of work to do. For example, there are still 80,000 service members who were adversely affected by the illegal COVID mandate and DEI hiring practices during the Biden administration, though only 2 of those have been resolved. So there are still in excess of 80,000 people who need to have their issues addressed because they're still suffering the consequences of standing up for what is right. So that's what a lot of the veterans need right now who are out. They need the support of the people calling the Pentagon, telling them that we need this fixed. Because if you don't have people in the military, good quality people, then you don't have a military. You just have a lot of expensive toys. And it's time to fix these 80,000 people's issues as quickly as we can.
Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub, Dr. Tim Murphy, thank you both, and thank you again for your service. Thank you.
You were worth it. Thank you.
And just a note today for our veterans. Today, November 11th, of course, is Veterans Day. We remember your service and sacrifice to our country, and we are eternally grateful Veterans may also want to get the new book, Veteran Benefits for You. This book by Paul R. Lawrence details the literally hundreds of benefits veterans and their families are eligible for from the U.S. government. Few know these benefits better than Paul Lawrence, as he headed the VA benefits programs under President Trump in his first term, and now serves as the Deputy Secretary of the VA. Veterans Benefits for You unlocks the education, health, income, housing, insurance, and many other benefits you need to know about and you may be eligible for. Veterans Benefits for You is available at bookstores and Amazon, and you can check it out with our free offer from Newsmax. So get the benefits that you deserve. All right, coming up. Do scientists exaggerate their reports in exchange for funding? It's our worst fear realized, what some are suggesting as a grift in higher education research. We'll dig into that next.
There are only a few men I'd trust with my life. Two of them built this wallet. I've known the guys behind Proof for nearly 20 years, and we've been through hell and back together. When they told me they were building the wallet, I just said, bill me now, I'm in. This isn't some fashion piece. This isn't just some trend. These wallets are a direct reflection of the kind of men who built it. It's built to last, built to function, and designed to carry everything you need and more. If anything happens to it, they'll take care of it. No questions, no fine print. If you knew the guys who created this wallet, you wouldn't carry anything else. Go check them out, because they built this thing right.
Drop is finally here. Drop delivers the weight loss benefits of GLP-1 injections in easy-to-use oral drops, no needles.
That's right. The two big drawbacks with weight loss injections are high costs and weekly injections. Drop is flavorless and odorless, so you can just add it to water or your favorite beverage. Drop offers other advantages over injections too. With Drop, you can personalize your dosage based on your weight loss goals.
And because you add Drop to any liquid, there's no concern about injection site infections, bruising, or dosage confusion.
Drop is the easier, safer, cost-effective alternative to help you achieve your weight loss goals without the needles.
Can't find it anywhere? The Wellness Company has it. No consultation needed. Simply order online and use promo code SLIM to save $100. Visit dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
My research has the potential to prevent their daughters and their wives and their cousins from developing breast cancer. And I don't think any taxpayer would want to interfere with progress on a project like that. My knees buckled and I had to sit down because I just never imagined that research focused on a disease like cancer would be canceled for a reason that was unrelated to the quality of the research or the progress of the research.
Incredible there. That's Dr. Joan Brugi on 60 Minutes, and she's claiming that her funding was cut. She's got substantial critical breast cancer research, but it was cut. Do scientists exaggerate reports in order to pressure the government into funding them? Let's bring in researcher Dr. Jason Locasale suggests that it may be the man himself. Scientist, a former tenured professor at Duke, Harvard, MIT, and Cornell. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. So talk to me about that report. She's saying it's very beneficial. Obviously, I have a family member myself suffering from breast cancer, so like so many Americans out there. Talk to me about this.
Well, thanks, Lydia. Thanks for having me on, and happy Veterans Day, everyone. I think what you saw was a sad story of a potential disruption to a research program. But I think what's really underneath this is this massive industrial complex that these medical schools and the universities that house them have grown and expanded. I mean, these are nonprofit, taxpayer-funded corporate empires right now that are designed to absorb as much taxpayer funding as possible. As a result, they have large public relations teams. They have large lobbying groups that are all working to design and designed to take in as much money as possible. So as a result, we see these sad stories. We see these feel-good episodes of anecdotes of patients getting cured here or there. But what we don't see is the billions and billions of dollars that's going into these places. And what we don't see is there are basically 100,000 of these scientists all saying they're going to cure cancer, they're going to cure Alzheimer's, you're going to live to be 200 years old. And what the result is very little accountability of what actually comes out of this research. We're really, it's essentially emotional blackmail, where we're using these patients and we're using these personal stories, as we've all been affected by things like cancer, things like Alzheimer's or these debilitating diseases. I mean, America it's a sick country, and I think the current administration is working a lot on making that better. But
right.
I think what we have is these massive universities, and they're fun. And a place like Harvard's got $50 billion of a research endowment. I mean, Joan's research, and Joan was a colleague of mine in the past, and I like Joan, but she's basically shilling for $500,000 when Harvard's got a $50 billion endowment. Right. And it's not to mention, the dismissal of all the problems that are currently going on inside these universities, inside of these nonprofit health care systems that are tied to these universities. I mean, people know the insurance premiums they pay. They know the college tuition that they're faced with. Right. They know the kinds of taxes that they pay. And I think what they need to be aware of is that a lot of that money is going to these universities and funding them. Harvard says they're a private university, but they're really a taxpayer subsidized enterprise. I mean, they are essentially a publicly operated, their budget is,
and they're playing, and they're, people want to live and survive. And especially if you're afflicted with cancer, we have to leave it right there. Dr. Locasale, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, before we go, a special thank you to our veterans. That's next.
I think the biggest selling point for Newsmax is we're not doing the same boring, predictable news. You flip through the other channels, you got these high-paid hosts. They say the same thing every night. You know what they're going to say. It's a little different.
Big East basketball on TNT Sports. UConn women take on Loyola Chicago tonight, 7th Eastern on True TV and stream on HBO Max.
Nobody knows Corvettes like McMulkin Chevrolet, the world's largest Corvette dealer for 4 consecutive years. Last year, over 1,800 new Corvettes were purchased from McMulkin Chevrolet, setting a record for the highest number of new Corvettes ever sold in a calendar year by one single dealership. Experience why Corvette enthusiasts from all over the USA continue to choose McMulkin Chevrolet, with hundreds of Corvettes in stock and ready for immediate delivery nationwide.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work.
Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
Hey guys, Viagra is not your only option. Rose Sparks act fast and stay active longer. They aren't pills. Sparks dissolve under your tongue to reach your bloodstream for speedy results. Sildenafil starts things off strong, and Tadalafil stays in your system for longer. More confidence, more control. Rose Sparks. Connect with a provider at ro.co/sparks.
At Lumber Liquidators, we have the best prices on flooring, and we guarantee it. Find a lower price, we will beat it with our best price guarantee. We have over 200 stores nationwide. Find yours at lumberliquidators.com. Tell them Tom sent you.
Hi, I'm Bob Webster. You know, in cold weather, I'll bet you every farmer, rancher, and homeowner in the country worries about their pipes freezing and breaking. Well, the Freeze Miser ends that worry. No batteries, no wires, just some amazing technology that lets it sense when the temperature of the water in the pipes drops to 37 degrees. Then it starts releasing exactly the right amount of water. Check it out at freezemiser.com or at your favorite nursery, garden center, hardware, or farm and ranch store. It's the Freeze Miser, and it works.
Hello, this is WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Mick Foley. Across this great country, there are thousands of veterans with no place to call home. They deserve better.
Welcome to my new home.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation is committed to eradicating veteran homelessness by providing housing and critical services.
Couldn't ask for anything more.
Please help by donating $11 a month at t2t.org. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Let us do good.
Now, before we go, we just want to say thank you again to all of our veterans watching our show and all those who have made our nation the greatest on earth. And now for a special Pledge of Allegiance performed by the Millennial Choir. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Frontline. Carl will be back tomorrow. Again, I'm Lidia Curanaj. Trust and remember that God is with you in all ways, always, and happy Veterans Day. Rob, how cute were those kids?
Cute kids.
So
I
cute.
like that. Lydia, good to see you.
All right.
All right.